Welcome back to BLOCKTV, and you're watching Traders Take, where we get the chance to see what's going on within the crypto market. And as usual, we're joined by BLOCKTV technical analyst Joe Saz, but this time not from New York. He has the chutzpah to talk to us from Bali, where he's sipping on coconuts and enjoying himself. But nonetheless, we're going to get into the charts anyway. How are you, Joe?
Excellent. You know, I can't complain with the fresh coconut from time to time, and delicious food, of course, and beautiful views. I mean, and obviously the amazing people. I mean, it's been a blast. I can't say that enough.
You're really just rubbing it in now, Joe. It's way too much for us. So we're gonna go into Bitcoin just so we don't cry here. What's going on?
Yeah. So let's get a Bitcoin chart up, and all right, cool. Yeah, this is actually pretty interesting. Overnight, I mean, this was, very late in Bali time. We started breaking down, and this was Tone's call. So I was expecting us to wake up, but this is actually getting more dangerous to me. I've been bearish for a while. I thought we might have a little more lifeblood in us, but this is terrible. For us to break back down to 7,900, the 7Ks are like, they were such uncomfortable territory. So I see that we're consolidating a little bit. We have a lot of volume, as you can see in the middle of the screen there. The volume relative to the price action, that was excellent volume. Like, this was a huge sell-off. So my question is, are the bears going to roll out the red carpet and let the bulls sweep up some liquidity and have some low volume run-ups, or are they just going to cap them out right here? And so we're about a day away from that discovery. So I'm really curious right now if sellers decide to hold this price target, then this is going to be very dangerous for the bulls. And at this point, a retest of 7K or 7,700, I mean, is going to be not necessarily devastating, but it's absolutely not something that I want as a Bitcoin short, if I was a short to midterm Bitcoin bull.
Right. So, I mean, it seems like, and correct me if I'm wrong, it's feeling like the consensus is amongst traders and analysts at this point that Bitcoin is going down. There's no other way that this is going to turn out. Am I wrong in saying that?
No, yeah, you're actually correct in saying that. And just the other day, the numbers reported by CoinFarm, which pulls data from BitMEX, they show their information is basically shows what I believe to be an accurate representation of short to long dominance. Right? We used to show the Bittrex, the Bitfinex short to long ratio. Remember a while back it used, and then all of a sudden longs, or was it shorts? They just fell off a cliff. It was down 67% one day, 63% the next, and then a week later another 60% decrease in shorts. So I think their numbers are inaccurate, but there was about a 54, 55, and even up to a 50, maybe even a 56% long dominance. And as you can see, this is what happens when the market gets a little too excited. With the allegations of exchanges potentially trading against their traders, it's really important to pay attention to this ratio. And it was obviously over leveraged on the long end, and people were excited, and then they just got smashed in the face. Now the sentiment's bearish. We're entering a more bearish territory, but the bears aren't really, jumping in, like I said, over leveraged just yet. So I think this is a very interesting space, and we're about a day away from the discovery of what does this mean. It's really starting to get interesting. I love volatile times. Those are the easiest times to make money in Bitcoin, if you're right, of course. So I'm hoping we have some volatile times ahead, and hopefully we have another leg down or whatever. Even if it's a leg up, I don't mind. I just want to make sure I'm right. So at this point in time, I'm just not too optimistic, especially with my optimistic situation being a pop to 85, a wick at least, to give bulls some sort of hope. But they didn't even get that. Sellers crushed them at 82 and brought us back into the 7Ks. So I'm a little concerned about that. And the shorts aren't really over leveraged or anything, and they're not extremely they're not dominating the charts. It's a pretty even ratio right now, within reason, I would say. So it's a dangerous space out there right now.
Yeah, absolutely interesting that it seems that you like volatile times. I think many would disagree with you, but I mean, you're a trader, analyst. It may be different than the average Joe out there. Average Joe, no pun intended there, but trading that feels differently about volatility. But now moving on, shifting gears into Ethereum, you amongst other analysts and traders have been saying that Ethereum is doomed at this point, and currently we're sitting at, it's down 3.8%, around there. What's going on?
Okay, so wow, they took an even, what a plunge. So this is a 15-minute chart, and so you see that wick space on that gigantic red candle. Now, considering that Bitcoin had something very similar in two down wicks, I would say that the majority of the volume in that candle is sell volume. Even though that wick space looks like there's a lot of rejection, I would say that this is still a very reliable space to assume that that things are going to continue to get worse because the sell volume was there. We're now revisiting the wick space in the most recent 15-minute candle, and that's kind of bearish to me. I don't like when we have an immediate pullback from a pump or a dump. Like say we pump, right, and then the immediate trend is down. That obviously means that that pump was a shakeout. It was trying to, wreck over leveraged shorts, liquidate people, do XYZ things to the price, right? And so what I see here is an immediate rejection, but now we've already pulled back into that wick space. That's like usually a very bearish scenario, and I think that this looks like we have another leg down, but I'm just going to assume for now that that wick space is up for grabs, and I don't want to make like a doomsday apocalypse scenario here for Ethereum, but that wick space is now in play, and that means lower local lows are in play.
And do you think that F heads now, the people within the Ethereum community, the supporters of Ethereum, are losing that hope?
Um, this is considering what I believe to be a very isolated space. I think we're looking at camps right now, and I think it's pretty diehard. Are F heads losing hope? They should have lost hope long before Ethereum 2.0 was announced. Anyone who is smart was. So I would say that they're probably not. Right now, like dominance is kind of it's stagnating a little bit. The moves up and down in dominance, Bitcoin dominance relative to altcoins are pretty good looking. So I would say F heads probably aren't like losing their minds just yet, but it's definitely getting to I think $80 was a more capitulatory area. So the fact that people are now going to be more convinced that the bull run in Ethereum is over, and we're looking at on the daily for a number of these we've already experienced the death cross of the intermediate and long-term moving averages, and obviously we've now responded in kind with another I would say relatively small leg down. But it's just either more of these or another big one is all it's going to take to really kick the market out of any pipe dream of an alt season.
This is really the true test, I think, for those F heads you're referring to. Are you going to stick around for the technology in the long haul, or are you going to leave because the price is going away? So it's that technology versus cryptocurrency war that's ongoing within the crypto sphere, and I think it's pretty clear when you talk about Ethereum. But now moving on to Litecoin, which I think is safe to say is a pretty big disappointment this year. Once again today, as the market is all red, is down around close to 4%. Let's take a look.
Yeah, well, yeah, it's actually very similar. It's actually worse than Ethereum. We had a pullback, and then we went right back into that wick space. We're kind of staying in it, so it seems like the market's in a very uncertain space right now. As we could see, it was pretty much Bitcoin took two small steps, and these alts so far have taken a big step down and have started to consolidate. Now, keep in mind, these coins don't really rip the Band-Aid off. Bitcoin is like the strongest coin of them all. It does not rip the Band-Aid off quickly. So these altcoins, I don't really want to consolidate. Consolidation, what I'm trying to say is it doesn't mean too much to me right now. Even though we're in these bearish territories, Litecoin post-halvening, I would say it's going to do worse than other coins, especially since it's proof of work protocol, and it just experienced a block reward subsidy decrease. And their price has now we're down around 50%. The leg down on Litecoin it's very similar to Ethereum in the sense that we did have an immediate pullback out of that, a little bit of rejection there. We have a lot of volume, and I'm going to assume a lot of it was to the upside, because even in the green candle, 2 candles later from that massive, relatively massive leg down, because obviously the market hasn't been as volatile as it has been, but the volume and that little bit of, let's say hope, to bring us back out of a terrible space is completely insignificant. I mean, you can't even see it on the bottom of the screen there. That's how insignificant it is. All the volume's in the selling. So I'm assuming this wick space is not really intense buying activity. So, we went right back into this wick space. We're consolidating. It's a little bit nerve-wracking to be consolidating in this area for both the bulls and the bears. The fact that we are in a perceived bull run by some, I would say that the bulls would really be sweating a little bit trying to explain that, yeah, this is I can't imagine a bull really putting a good story together here to say, oh, Litecoin's, has some lifeblood left in it, but especially for a proof of work protocol that just experienced a block reward subsidy decrease, I think Litecoin's in danger of suffering bigger, lower lows. And on top of that, we have technical indicators that reveal the 200 and the 125 day, so the long and intermediate term moving average experienced a bearish crossover, a death cross, as you love to call it, Oran. They happen. So I mean, this is the aftermath, and it's only looking worse from there. All these moving averages are trending down, and Tyler's moving average consensio, which he would say is when moving averages 2 out of 3 of his significant moving averages, and I believe he used on the weekly something like 2, 5, and 7 or something like, or 2, 5, and 30 or 2, 7, 30. Anyways, the point is applying that same concept without the same exact moving averages, I would say that a lot of these altcoins are looking like they're positioned to continue moving down, and that's very dangerous, I think, for the altcoin space. And on top of that, Bitcoin's not performing well, so that's kind of a double negative, let's say, for the altcoins.
Which leads me into my last question here for you. What would you tell somebody who feels like not necessarily a trader, although it could be, that the sphere is moving, two steps forward, 1 step back? What would you say there?
I would say we're moving 2 steps forward, 1 step back, maybe in more of a technical sense, not price related, nothing price related. We have some fundamental developments, like the Lightning Network is, you can use it on your phone now, and I've sent a few people 1 Satoshi, instantaneously. So on a fundamental technical perspective, we have a lot to be excited about. On a price perspective, there's a lot that's very bearish. So I think, your question, I might have gotten distracted there a little bit. What was your question around?
No, absolutely not. It seems ambiguous, right? Because we're moving 2 steps forward, 1 step back, but it's confusing because you want to be positive about the space, but then you can't because you see the price going down. So it's a very confusing waters we're treading right now, let's call it. Thank you very much, Joe Sass, for breaking that down for us. It was truly a pleasure to have you on, except for the fact that you're in Bali and we're all jealous, but we're still wishing you well and for you to have a good time. For all you folks, look at him rubbing it in. And for all you folks watching at home, keep on watching. Oh, Joe Sass, keep on watching at BLOCKTV.com for more cryptocurrency and blockchain related news.
For more news and updates, follow us on Twitter.